trying to remember exactly because because Alan Andrade's issues with his sexuality came out, I think, in the fourth day of the trial. I don't know if I chronologically told it that way, but I think it was towards the end. And at that time, I think it was easy for them to ignore it because they knew the trial was going to be over with, and then they were going to focus on the deliberation. But and so I personally think the mainstream media did not make an issue of him at all. It was really the alternative.
The killer?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
They really shied away from him completely. They didn't. Yeah, but in the trial, talk to people that were at the trial. So no, actually, it was, you know, this was a good afternoon of talking about him and what he was about and the associations that he had, and of course the physical evidence tying him to the crime scene. So yeah, it was very, very different. So I was very grateful that it all came out in a nice package, and I was able to take it from there.
So do you feel like the area fully understands the story, or did it just get there?
You know, I think that Greeley is an unusual. It's really a study in God, what is this study? And it's a study of mixtures and these odd balances. It's an agricultural town. It has a large university there, and then it has this basically hidden community of Mexican immigrants that are doing all the work. And so I think certain populations remember it differently. The college community definitely remembers it. It's something that is part of a lot of the campus movements, a lot of the campus organizations, and the awareness they try to do is very much there. The agriculture, big business, I think all the richest people in Colorado actually live in Greeley, which blew me away. I did not know that. And it's all ag money, and that's big business, yeah.
What?
And so that community doesn't like to remember it as best as I can tell. The Mexican-American community is really interesting to me, and that's the one that I know the best. They certainly remember it, but they don't remember exactly what Angie was. They say, well, you know, Angie was still alive. Now, what happened there? What was going on there? And I said, well, you know, she was this young trans woman. You know, what does that mean? And at first, it puts me in this position of awareness, which I find, you know, uncomfortable as a filmmaker because I prefer to be kind of silent. But when I reflect on it, I think, well, what a beautiful position to be in. That way we can actually start this dialogue that in my culture is really not discussed.
So
we just don't, yeah.
You didn't know anything when we talked about this earlier. You didn't know anything about trans.
No,
nothing.
No, it was a complete education for me.
What was that process like? Where did you start?
It was fascinating. It really was interesting, and I think where I always started was hitting the books, and what was interesting to me was how only in Western culture do we say you're this or you're that. And the rest of the world, the rest of the non-Western world, we understand that gender identity has so much gray to it. And instead of being afraid of that, we you know, a lot of non-Western cultures celebrate it. Which again, I think is a very, very beautiful thing. I'm very fortunate that I'm able to you know, raise my own kids with this way. You know, because they'll ask. I mean, my daughters were, if they weren't next to me, they were in the next room as I was editing this film. And you know, I would even ask them, how does this look? How does that look? And then they would say, you know, tell me more about Angie. And little by little, I think that's how those kinds of things can be broken down.
How old are your daughters?
They're 9 and 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
So now the film's how long do you make? How far out from making it somewhere?
You're just done. I mean, it's. I think I put the last cut together about 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
So it's the second public showing the whole film has had. I've shown bits and pieces to some LGBT organizations around Denver before. And then there's a Latino festival in Denver in April where we showed it for the first time. And then, so this is really only the second screening that the whole film has had.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very, very honored to be here. Thank you all for coming.
Well, we're not done yet.
No, that's all right.
Okay,
I didn't mean to put it on.
So I guess where I was going with that is, so now that you have 6 months to sort of, you know, it's like when you write a paper, you write on and then you look back on it. You've had like 6 months, not a lot of time, but
6 weeks.
Oh, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I was like, no, maybe I shouldn't ask you that question. So my question was, so after you've gone through this whole process, what did anything really surprise you? What are you taking away from your work? What are you left with?
You know, I'm taking away. I mean, I learned a lot as a filmmaker, and I think I learned even more as a human being. That those are the lessons that I really take away. I think I started making movies, you know, about 10 years ago, thinking that it was all about the end. It was all about the result. It was about being in front of an audience and being able to really is. It's really about the journey. And so as a filmmaker, I learned a tremendous amount. I mean, I learned a tremendous amount as a human being. I really learned about my own culture, my own cultural background. And Angie's family is a complete anomaly. They're some of the most beautiful and accepting people I have ever seen. And in terms of our cultural background, that is unusual.
Really?
She really went through hell with one side of her family. And, you know, to the point where they would say horrible things and never to Angie, it was always to her mom. You know, and Maria was always having to defend her daughter, and she is very much an in-your-face personality. She is a tough customer.
The mom.
Angie's mom is tough. She's a tough lady, and I knew that because it was so hard to get in touch with her. There were like layers and layers of phone calls that had to be made. It was actually refreshing. And she's like, no, I'm not going to waste my time with you if I don't think you're going to tell my daughter's story the way she tells her baby. She tells Angie her baby. So, you know, you have to understand my baby's story, and you really understand our story. And then I thought, you know, she was giving me a very, very precious gift.
Well, you know,
I hope I was respectful of it.
I've worked in the DLBT field, not together. I worked in the GL field, and I've worked in the T field, and especially with an organization that provides services for youth and children, trans parents and stuff. And what I found is, if it was not for this, I think there's this wave of moms of trans kids that are moms 90%, dads 10%. So what calls they are pushing this issue because they're not getting services, they're not getting help. Their kids are upset, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with my kids, and they're starting to. And when I watched the film, I got that feeling. I was like, oh, these are one of the moms that are just not having it. They're not having.
No. She wasn't having it, and wasn't having it from a very young age. When because I think Angie, Justin started transitioning to Angie in his early teens, and it was. I got the impression from talking to all of them. So it must be true. Is that our mom had the easiest time actually. Her brothers and sisters were, they were really not really sure what to make of it. And then, but it was pretty quick. I mean, they came to this point of this is Angie, and this is I'm going to love her no matter what. And that happened fairly quickly. And then she was in this position of constantly having to defend. She was the mama bear protecting her cub, especially from a very very harsh family.
So the family, are they going through that sort of double guilt process if they've lost somebody that they're close to, and now they've got to go through as well shady this person? Is that fair? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm mostly talking about when Angie was still alive. Now they're very reluctant to be in public, but they do it still. Like they came out for the film, and I said, you guys have seen the film. You're the first ones to see the film. If you don't want to be there in public and take questions, I completely understand. Don't feel that you have to sit through it again. And they said, well, it's important to us because we want to support the work that is going on. We want to support this idea getting out that we should love our children no matter what challenges they present us. We always love our children. And again, it's just I'm very very humbled every time I get to be around them. Yeah.
Let's open up some questions from the audience.